kind of joining us or you don't know this about us, we have a co-creation that's coming up. If you're listening to this after April of 2023, I suspect there'll be another one. So, we're talking about this one, but if you're coming to us in August right now and it's 2023 and you're like, damn, I missed the retreat, head on over to our websites and our Instagram, because chances are there's something else there. I want us to talk a little bit about, what do you think, where do you think the magic comes from in retreats? Like, why do you love to host retreats?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is you've got to get out of your everyday environment to know how spectacular life is. Because sometimes when we're in the muck of things and we already know that 85 to 90% of our thoughts are from past, there's no way to see what's available until we've actually stepped out of it. And a lot of times it's really hard to step out of it when you're in it, And so I think retreat, I can think back to how many aha moments I've had when I have been away on retreat, not leading, but for myself, which I love to do.
Right.
And so it makes me sad when I hear women say, I hope one day I could do this with you. And I'm like, you just have to do this with me,
Right.
Like we put so many things aside, hoping, wishing that one day they're going to come to fruition, when really all we have to do is say yes.
Say yes. And then the how starts to align itself, and not, again, staying with the theme of the podcast episode. It's not that you wouldn't take action, but the point is, a lot of times the universe is just simply waiting for you to say yes. And in saying yes, then all of a sudden it clears the way. It's like, and then this comes forward and that comes forward and that comes forward. I often have noticed that in retreats, we'll create a theme. You've done lots of retreats on your own. I've done lots of retreats on my own. You probably collaborated with other people. So have I. But there's this place, regardless of the retreat. This one's called Reclaim. We'll talk in a moment about what that means. But I've named them all different things. And I love it because it's what's coming up for, in our case, this case, us. It's what's coming up for us. But whatever the reason that someone signs up for a retreat, that's just to get you to say yes. And then once they get there, what comes forth is what needs to come forth. And how freaking crazy is it when you see the group of women that have said yes to it? That first day, just before you open, the circle of the retreat, where I always get these butterflies and I'm like, oh my God, we're doing it. This is 1 week and go. I get this like, what the hell am I doing? And then as soon as we start, I'm like, there it is. And there it is again. And there it is again. And then you just notice as the week goes by, one thing just weaves into the next. And these women who have said yes to this experience, it's like you see how they all fit into the tapestry. And at the end, I always say, best retreat ever. Like, this is the best retreat ever. And then the next time that I start, it's the same thing. At the end, I'll go, best retreat ever. Isn't it wild how the group of women that come in, they receive what they needed to receive, but oftentimes it's never what they thought they were coming for?
It's kind of like magic, really. And I loved what you said about you just have to say yes. And then, the tapestry of what's going to happen. And I was thinking when you were saying, this time we're calling it Reclaim, I have a couple of thoughts. So often yoga teachers, coaches, speakers will often speak to what they also need to hear.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like when I was like smack in the middle of my divorce, my classes had never been more clear. Like every single person left going, it was like you were speaking directly to me, like a magician on the yoga mat. And I was like, fuck yeah. I don't even know that the name ever really matters. Sometimes I just don't want to give it any name. I just want to be like, come hang out. But yes, I agree. And that's the whole stepping into something and trusting that you are going to get exactly what you need. And it's never going to be what you think it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm always amazed because you get all these women together and there's all these different energies. And I always have like moments where like, oh, okay. But somehow everyone is seen, everyone is validated, everyone gets to share, and you dive deep so fast
So fast.
that like you have to prepare them for reintegration.
Right. The space holding of a retreat. That's what was so beautiful about co-facilitating with you is I knew you knew to do that and you did it so well. And I know how to do that. And it's the truth. I know how to do it well. And so what felt like this beautiful, like, I don't know, container space, like the energy bubble, whatever it was. And, it's not like even as a facilitator, you're just standing on the outside going, and then everyone needs a little bit of this and everyone needs a little bit of that. It is literally like life that who you surround yourself with, those energies come together and what you create is greater than the sum of the parts, right? Like each person individually is complete and utter magic. And at some point in that retreat, it gets revealed. It just amazes me. So the retreat that we have coming up on April 8th to 15th is just outside of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We picked that retreat center. I've hosted there before. It ticks all the boxes for us. It's beautiful. It's oceanfront. It has 6 different yoga platforms, beautiful, beautiful spaces. The rooms are so gorgeous and you are in nature, just far enough back. You don't need to worry, but you are in nature. The food is delicious. It's farm to table. It's organic. There is every day starts with yoga and meditation. There is lots of time in the day to have the conversation, check out, check in, go to the spa, swim in the water, take the hike, sign up for the excursion, do whatever it is that you want to do or don't want to do. And then we come back together, usually within the last couple of hours before we dine in the evening, and we do some sort of self-discovery work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As you're speaking, I was thinking, I know for a lot of women, it's scary. If you've never done it, it's like you have no idea what to expect.
Right.
And you can't find anyone to go with you. So you say like, maybe one day I'll go when I have a girlfriend to go with. My greatest retreats have been when I've gone on my own. And I know that a lot of women have not traveled on their own. But what I do notice when they do, everyone is taken care of. Right. So I remember in our last retreat having a conversation with one of the participants, and she had never traveled by herself. And she was like, I don't even like, I've never been on an airplane by myself. And I was like, we're going to get there and you're going to be great. Like you just have to say yes. Right. And that's exactly what she ended up doing. And she was in awe about the women that showed up, the sharing that happened, the support that she got, and the experience that she had.
And that's it. It's almost like letting the universe show you that you can say yes to something and you can be held in it. Like not feeling like you have to always know all the pieces. I'm not suggesting that, you make the flight, get on the flight and then just throw your hands up with everything else. I just mean like that part where it's like, that you don't have to know the whole way. Right. And a lot of times, and you feel this way too, we hold back some of the things that are going to happen because, oh my God, women have this thing where they need to know everything because they think if they know everything, they're going to be prepared. And you kind of like ruin the magic of it. So I'm going to tell you right now, we're not telling you everything that's going to come about in that retreat because you get to be held in the experience of being supported and just offered up experiences for you to say yes to or no to. It's totally your call. But that is one of the things I love because I know for me, I've spent way too much time. I'm going on a trip. I go on Expedia, then I go on TripAdvisor, and then I look at all the pictures and I go to the restaurant and I've already looked at the menu and then I know what I'm going to wear. And it's like, I plan out my outfits. It's like, for God's sakes, Laura, put something down, right? Like put something down. we do that going into this retreat, so you don't have to.
Well, here's the other piece, and this is some insight to us organizing the retreat, is we also leave space to see what people need.
Yeah.
Right. Because, and even, I'll relate it back to like a yoga class. Like, you can make your sequence up before you get to the class that you're going to teach. But if everyone shows up and you're like, oh God, like this sequence doesn't even make sense. So there's magic in also seeing how it energetically needs to unfold. And I think I'm going to toot our horns here, but that's experienced retreat leaders, right? We'll leave space. Like, we know the general format. We know what we're doing at this time, like, but we don't have all of it planned out, because even last retreat, we were like, okay, what do they need this afternoon? Okay, this morning, this came up. Let's do this afternoon. This is a better space for it. And so we're constantly like paying attention and reframing and looking like, how can we serve them best this afternoon? And so that's part of it also.
Yeah. It is a big trip for everybody on surrendering, right? Yes. It was a theme. There's always a theme. That's a theme that's coming up. So, I know we have a few rooms left on this particular retreat. We are recording this in January. I know we're going to probably be sold out within, a couple of weeks right now. There's a lot of hoverers right now. I've been that person
I spoke to a few this weekend, actually.
Right. I'm like, oh, for love, I know you're coming. Why don't you? Yeah. So what if you're that person that's hovering, and maybe it's not about this. Okay. Maybe it's not even about this, but it's about something you want. Right. Yeah. We've all done that, right? You got the mouse in your hand, whether it's in life or, it's a metaphor here. You got the mouse in your hand and you're hovering over the goddamn thing. Like, what do you say to that woman?
You have to say yes. Here's the thing, like, how many times in our lives do we like put something off, and we know in the end we're going to do it anyways. And so this like lull of making this decision, like, I actually, if it's a whole total body lean in, yes, I actually spend very little time thinking about anything else. So I actually will just act very quickly. If you're with a partner who likes to like weigh everything out, and sometimes that's like can be a little bit, I'm like, oh Jesus, just let's like make the decision. We know we're gonna do it already. But when it comes to something like this, and here's the other thing, if you want to talk about a metaphor for life, where else in your life, maybe it's not even about the retreat, where else in your life are you not saying yes to?
Yeah.
Where else are you putting off what you truly want to do, who you truly want to become? How many more times are you going to say no to something when you know you should be saying yes? And it has nothing to do with the retreat.
Right.
Like,
it's true.
I work out pretty much 5 days a week. Some mornings I wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this today. I know I'm going to do it because the future version of myself at the end of the day will have already done it. So I got to go because I said I would, because my word is my law. That's another way of being unapologetic. So I just go. It's the reason why Mel Robbins talks about this, the 5-second rule. It's the same thing. Yeah. Stop putting off. It's a character trait, and it's not going to serve you. Oh, I don't know. Maybe next time. Like, how many more things?
There's this whole concept of deserving, like, do I deserve this? Can I justify this? What about my family? We haven't gone on a vacation with my family, my partner, all the things. And there's this place where, and this probably isn't the retreat for you if this is like the most massive thing, but it's this place where it's like, somehow we equate taking this space, time, finances, whatever, all of it, and saying yes to this, it's selfish. And all I can say to this, I'm like, that you can just put that down, because whatever you want to do in life, however you want to serve, and almost every woman I know, if not every woman I know, wants to be able to serve bigger, wants to be more for other things other people, whatever, other causes in life. But it's just simply not possible when you actually learn how to serve yourself first. It's just not going to work anymore where you just give the remnants out of what's possible. And you think you need to collect up those remnants and go forward in life and do your big ass mission. And whether that mission is a business, or it's the relationships you want in life, or it's the kind of mother you want to be, I don't even really care what you're talking about. It's like, if you want the full expansion of what's possible, we have to learn how to serve ourselves. It's like, stop the whole script, the old one, burn it.
I feel like that's like a drop the mic moment.
Was it?
But it's true. You know, someone once told me that they thought I was the most selfish person they knew. And I actually took that as a compliment. I was like, thank you. Thank you. And they were like, what? And I'm like, no, thank you. Because I actually practiced being selfish. I actually said yes to myself when it didn't actually feel 100% okay, that I was missing the bake sale at the school because I was on a yoga training, or I said no to a girlfriend who I knew needed me, but I needed me more. I like, how many times do we compromise for ourselves? Like ourselves, we say yes to something and then we're like, fuck, I can't believe I'm here. I don't really want to be here. That doesn't feel good either. And so I actually practiced being selfish until I was actually comfortable being selfish. And it's a practice, right?
It's a practice.
Like you said, like, well, I don't deserve to go on this trip. My husband and I haven't had a vacation in 2 years. My kids could use a vacation away. We could all use a vacation, you know, like it's the cheesiest thing I'm going to say, but there's a reason that when you're on the airplane, it says, put your mask on first.
It's true. Well, it's also that
know?
thing where it's like, you can hold two truths simultaneously. Yeah, your kids may need a vacation and you also might need this. And so if this is the place where retreat, not retreat, whatever we're talking about, if it's calling to you, it's calling to you for a reason. Don't get so stuck on what you don't know and just focus on what you do know. If it keeps calling, keeps calling, keeps calling, even if you don't know why it's calling to you,
Right.
like, for
Right.
goodness sakes, take a
Right.
chance on that. Say yes to that. We're calling it reclaim. It is really about, you know, this, like you said, we hate calling it something because it'll be what it'll be. But I'm telling you, if you're the woman who feels like there's a piece of her that's been left behind, that there's her voice or her truth or the sense of who she is, if there are contracts that are outdated in your life, if there are like just, you feel that there is something that you are yearning to reclaim about who you are and why you're here, you won't be disappointed in this retreat.
No, as you're speaking that, I'm envisioning women who have logged in and clicked, yes, I want in, and the form has, like, how many times I've done this in the past. That's why I'm like getting downloaded of this vision now of the woman who's like clicked, yes, I want in, and looked at the form and then left it.
And then shut it. And then
shut
opened it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about